Well, Kai, welcome to HP. We're sitting in our founder's office, David Packard. Yes. And when I think about the legacy of the Silicon Valley and technology, I'm honored to be in this office. But what I'm really honored to be is with you. Yes. You're like the next wave. You're the next chapter for us in technology. Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about what you're doing. I know you've taken a gap year out in school, and then computer science is your next thing for you. Yeah,
so I recently graduated from high school last year, and so I decided to take a gap year, which was kind of a hard decision to make, like, because all my friends, of course, are going out to college and I'd be staying here to kind of work and figure out myself, I guess. But it's been really interesting to kind of see myself develop and my own personality develop and my values develop and see how, like, I actually want to take that to the next level in, like, my career and through college and stuff like that.
Well, I would be remiss if I didn't say, so you're the daughter of the founder of Black Girls Code, Kimberly Bryant. Kai Morton, your mother very intentionally wanted to pave a way for you. Yeah. How does that feel, and is there pressure associated with that, or what?
I mean, in the beginning I was like, oh, I mean, this is just going to be like a couple of workshops, like we're going to be learning Scratch and some basic stuff.
Never
like,
did you know.
Yeah, I didn't think it was going to get this big.
Yeah.
So it only started weighing on me, like, what, maybe in the second, third year when everything started to pick up, and I was like, oh, so, like, this is actually going to be a thing for the rest of my life. So it's just been interesting. It's been, like, kind of crazy. Like, it feels like just yesterday I was, like, in 6th grade and my mom was just starting Black Girls Code, and now it's, like, thousands of girls across the country, like even internationally, have been like reached.
Amazing.
It's pretty crazy, like, because I mean, it was all just about me, just because I was obsessed with video games and I like to play them. Yeah. And I went to my first workshop and I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to start coding games. At that point, I wanted to start coding games. And I still do, but then as I started to code more and go to more classes and workshops and stuff like that through Black Girls Code and outside, I started to realize that coding applies to a lot more than I originally went into it for. Yeah. So now I'm like thinking about like social justice and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Kai, that's wonderful. You also said though something earlier when we were talking about you were playing games and you realized I could actually create these games.
Yeah, so it was actually my mom who kind of planted that seedling. She's the one who brought that up, because I mean, probably it would have taken a long time for me to actually consider coding on my own terms until my mom would kind of brought it up into like relevant conversation, and I ended up going to that summer camp. But yeah, so it was really all about my mom kind of talking me through it, and like I was like, I don't know about this, like what does that even mean, like why would I want to make video games if I could play other people's that are already created? And I had like big dreams for what I wanted to create. I was like, I want to create my favorite video game ever. Like it doesn't create, I mean, like to create those kind of games and those kind of technologies takes like a huge team, but at the time I was like, I can create anything. I just need to like learn how to code. But yeah, it's been interesting.
Yeah. Well, and also, I mean, skills and skill sets, and what are the talents and the tools that you use on a day-to-day basis as you kind of start aspiring toward programming and coding? What are the things you use?
So in the beginning, I was thinking like, I'm gonna be like head first into technology only, and like that's only going to be it. So I was only going to be like coding and stuff like that and developing on the front end and the back end and that kind of stuff. But as I started to get older, I started to realize that a lot of my interests kind of could be incorporated into what I created and what I was coding. And like now, as I'm older than I was when I was 11 and first starting to code, I realized that a lot of my own intersectionalities kind of play into what I'm interested in creating and building, and a lot of my things like my love of music and art and design kind of nicely play into what I create and code. And I don't know, I think I just started realizing how cool I can, I don't know, it's how cool it is to like do things that are completely unrelated but merge them somehow.
Yeah, and I like the way you brought in that intersectionality, you know, as a young African American woman, and then your art, your music, all of those different things that you love. And that's what I do. I mean, you know, around diversity and inclusion is bringing those different perspectives to the table creates better innovation. And so are there any little secrets or inventions that you've made or you have along the way so far? Because I have a feeling you're gonna do some really, really great things.
I'm still like kind of in the process of thinking a little bit bigger, because a lot of my projects are singular in like a specific area. But I think my most recent one was this thing called SnapSafe. It's kind of like a technology which kind of acts like a wearable, but you can like, it's like acts like a snap bracelet, so you can elongate it and you stir it in the drink, and it tests for like if it has like any like kind of date, rape, or like drugs in it, kind of like that.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So you could, I mean, literally, like I grew up in the era of the like snap bracelets, so you can just take this off and test.
So we thought that'd be really cool to be, I mean, a little more discreet with like, because I know there's like a lot of other technologies that kind of try to test for that, but it's not easy and discreet, especially when you're in like a party environment or so. So we thought it would be cool to make something that actually mattered. But yeah, that was a really interesting project. But a lot of my most recent projects are more towards social justice.
All right.
Yeah.
And so, so coding, programming, what about that career field really excites you?
I think the fact that it's been around for a little bit now, but it's so open to change. Like everything about it seems new. Like it's like a completely new frontier of possibilities. And like every year we find something new in technology or coding, and I think that's amazing. Like it's just so cool. And like the fact that coding is so accessible, like a lot of things people think like, oh, you have to go take these classes and you have to go to college and you have to go to high school and take these specific courses to be able to go into what, like medicine or engineering. But now for like coding, it's so accessible. Like little kids can do it. Like earliest I've seen is like a 5-year-old learn how to code. And I think that's amazing, because that kind of brings a whole new realm of kind of diversity.
It does.
Not just on like the racial standpoint or kind of like gender standpoint, but age,
generational.
Yeah,
cool.
Generations, to see how generations.
Okay, so what's your recommendation then for us more senior and tenured people as it pertains to technology? Like, what advice would you give me to like excite me about like taking on the challenge of coding or something, or learning something new?
Yeah, I think the first step is just like learning a language, like learning a language that kind of pertains to something you're interested in, because different languages kind of deal with building different things and creating different things. So just finding something you're interested in and just delve into it, and then you can kind of, I don't know, it kind of informs your decisions more, and you can talk more passionately about coding even though you're pretty new to it. But also I think in terms of like older generation to new generation, I think it's more about like, it's really important like to invest in like the new generation. I think that's like beautiful to see, like people in high positions and people of power and people who come from diverse experiences and have a lot of wisdom, like kind of help people, these young people, and like to share their voices and to kind of get them up the ladder. So what would be
the one thing you think that we don't know that you guys know?
I think, I don't know, that's a hard question. I think, I don't know, I think we don't get enough credit for how much we actually know. Like there's so many just very intelligent young youth out there. Like it's amazing. Like people our age are so passionate at an early age that it's amazing to kind of get in touch with their stories.
You're also, I think, more socially aware.
Exactly. Because I don't think people think about like how passionate we are. Like we're just like, oh, we're still in the kind of transition phases of adulthood. Like we don't really know what we're interested into, but like everyone I know has a certain passion that kind of like drives them. And I think that's really beautiful.
That's cool. And so thinking, you know, when I think about Black Girls Code and the phenomenal work that your mother's leading out on, the number of chapters now that have sprung up in so many different areas across the country, and as you said, even globally now, what's that journey been like for you? Kind of watching that from its infancy to now, the great success that it's having.
It's been great. I mean, it's been like a wild ride. It's been very fast. It feels like just yesterday I was back in middle school and learning how to code, and now it's like I get to teach other people how to code, and I get to see other people who actually look up to me, which is really powerful, because back when I was just coding, it was more like I didn't know who to look up to, and I didn't have any peers who were interested in what I was interested in too. So I was kind of worried about how I would go into an industry where I couldn't see people who look like me. But now seeing an industry that's becoming more and more diverse is powerful.
Yeah.
And that kind of leads into a question I had for you. So, I mean, you mentioned earlier that your title is based in diversity and inclusion. And I remember talking to a group of women a couple weeks back about like the difference between diversity and inclusion and how they're similar but not the same. Yep. And that a company can be diverse but not inclusive. Absolutely. And I think that's really important for industries like in Silicon Valley with all these tech companies all around Palo Alto and Mountain View, that there's a big difference between companies that are actually investing in including people of color and people of different genders and backgrounds into the conversation and getting them a seat at the table. So what do you think about that?
I agree. I think that there isn't, so for HP, we do look at diversity and inclusion, two very different things. In the simplest form, diversity being about who we are, what we're made of, our differences, our similarities even, for that matter, and inclusion really being about how we work. And so for us at HP, it is so important that we really focus on bringing in diverse talent, because it brings the diverse perspectives to the table. But more importantly, or as importantly, it is about allowing people to bring all of who they are to the table, right? When Kai comes with, I mean, and I tell this, I have high school interns each year, and I say, I want to hear from you. I don't care if you're in high school, heck, you could be in kindergarten, and you know, I want your perspective. And so that's what we're really focused on at HP is making sure people are coming and they're bringing all of who they are to the table, and we really nurture in an environment where people can share their ideas, their innovations, their voice can be heard at the table. And so it's one, it's on the responsibility on the person, the other is on the responsibility of everybody else, right? Really, and so it's a collaborative effort that we have. Thank you for that question. I like that question, because I think the same thing applies is that, you know, what you do in your life, everywhere you go, there's only one Kai, right? There's only one Kai Morton, daughter of the founder of Black Girls Code, and whatever that title, name, whatever it is that you accomplish. And so what are you most looking forward to as you move forward?
I don't know, I'm just really excited to see what the future holds, because I remember when I was like really young, I was always obsessed with science fiction, and that's kind of informed even like what I love to do now, like interest in like Afrofuturism and like the future of Blacks and just people of color in technology is like really amazing to see develop and diversify. And so I'm really excited to see what the future holds. Like, there's just so many amazing technologies that people can get in touch with these days. And I'm excited to see kind of where that leads.
So Kai, when I think about HP and I think about leadership, I think about technology, we have three primary leadership principles that that are foundational for us. It's about imagine the future, inspire the team, and make it happen. We're sitting in our founders' offices today, which is a privilege. There's not like everybody gets to come through here. And as I said, I'm honored, you know, to be in the presence of this. But when you think about your future, so this is the legacy. What do you see and what do you imagine for the future of technology for young girls and for young African American girls?
Yeah, I just see a future kind of inclusion where Black girls are being actually included in the conversation and being able to kind of bring what they have, all their background knowledge and everything, into what they work on at whether it be a company or their own company and stuff like that. That's really amazing to see when people actually let their intersectionalities out into what they create. And I think that's a big part of why I love the kind of movement for diversity and inclusion, especially in the tech field, because there's so much more coming. Like we're just in our kind of pioneering stages. We're on the frontier, like, basically.
Yeah.
So it's kind of rediscovering a whole new world. So I'm really excited to see where it goes and see how other girls who look like me kind of take what they have and run with it.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. And as we wrap up, there's one question that's just burning in me. And it's because I know your mom. She has been an awardee even for HP and the wonderful work that she's doing to help build the pipeline to incent and excite and motivate young girls, African American girls, Black girls around technology. I would love for you to just say, what would you like to tell your mom for the work that she's been doing?
I mean, the most relevant thing I would tell her is thank you. I mean, thank you for thinking of me, like, not just in, like, the present moment when I was 11 and I was just a little girl first learning how to code and looking to have a future in it, but looking towards other girls who look like us. Because, I mean, we both had kind of mirrored interests in engineering and technology when we were growing up. And seeing how her experiences kind of mirrored mine when I first went to my first coding camp was, I don't know, amazing for her to take that and run with it, so we can actually see our own role models, people that look like us in the media and technology and in positions of power like you here at HP. And I think that's really powerful. So thank you is basically what I need to say to her.
And now that I'm in tears, I want to thank you, Kai Morton, for your time. Kai, I know I expect really, really great things from you. I know I'm going to see CEO of, founder of, board member of, and I would like to also just tell you it's been a delight to spend this time with you.
It's
and
been amazing.
I want to be like you when I grow up.
I want to be like you.
No. Thank you, Kai. Appreciate it.